There are places on Earth that look completely impossible. A glacier that appears to bleed. Life living in complete darkness, thousands of meters beneath the ocean. A landscape covered in colors that look almost alien. A mountain where there's barely enough oxygen to survive. And a radioactive wasteland where nature came back after humans left. These places don't look like Earth, but they are. Here are 10 places on Earth where nature shouldn't exist.
Number 1. Blood Falls, Antarctica. Antarctica is one of the harshest environments on our planet. Freezing temperatures, endless ice, almost no vegetation. But in one remote corner of the continent, something incredibly strange emerges from the ice. Blood Falls. A dark red stream flows from the Taylor Glacier. It looks almost exactly like blood. But the red color comes from something much less mysterious. The water is extremely salty and contains large amounts of iron. When that iron reaches the surface and reacts with oxygen, it turns red. But here's the truly remarkable part. Microorganisms can survive in the isolated environment beneath the glacier. They don't need sunlight in the same way plants do. Instead, they obtain energy through chemical reactions. So beneath one of the coldest environments on Earth, life has found another way to survive.
Number 2. Hydrothermal vents, deep ocean. Now go several kilometers beneath the ocean. Sunlight disappears completely. The pressure is enormous, and the darkness is absolute. You would expect almost nothing to survive here. Instead, you find entire ecosystems. Hydrothermal vents release mineral-rich water from beneath the Earth's crust. Around them live giant tube worms, crabs, mussels, and countless microorganisms. But there's a problem. There is no sunlight. So how does the ecosystem survive? Microorganisms use chemicals released from the Earth's interior to produce energy. This process is called chemosynthesis, and those microorganisms become the foundation of an entire food web, which means that thousands of meters below the ocean's surface, life can exist without sunlight.
Number 3. Dallol, Ethiopia. In northern Ethiopia, there's a place that looks less like Earth and more like the surface of an alien planet. Dallol. The landscape is covered in bright yellow, orange, green, and red mineral formations. Acidic pools bubble beneath the surface. Salt deposits stretch across the ground, and temperatures here can become brutally high. The chemistry is so extreme that most forms of life struggle to survive. Yet even here, scientists have found microorganisms capable of tolerating incredibly harsh conditions. Dallol shows us something fascinating. Life doesn't necessarily need a pleasant environment. It needs the right conditions to adapt. And some of the organisms living here survive in conditions that resemble environments scientists might one day encounter on other planets. Number 4. Atacama Desert, Chile. The Atacama Desert is one of the driest places on Earth. Some areas receive almost no measurable rainfall. The landscape can look completely lifeless. But zoom in, and the story changes. Microorganisms have adapted to survive extreme dryness, intense ultraviolet radiation, and dramatic temperature changes. Scientists even use parts of the Atacama as a natural laboratory for studying how life might survive on Mars. Because the question isn't simply, can life survive in a desert? It's, how little does life actually need? And the Atacama may be giving us part of the answer. Number 5. Mount Everest, the death zone. At more than 8,000 meters above sea level, the human body enters an environment it was never designed for. This region of Mount Everest is known as the death zone. The air contains dramatically less oxygen than at sea level. Temperatures can become dangerously low. Winds can become extreme. And your body begins struggling simply to stay alive. Yet even here, life persists.
Microorganisms and other tiny forms of life have been found in extreme high-altitude environments, and climbers have managed to reach the summit under extraordinary conditions. Everest reminds us that there are places on Earth where survival isn't about comfort, it's about endurance. Number 6. Chernobyl, Ukraine. In 1986, the Chernobyl nuclear disaster transformed this region forever. People were evacuated, buildings were abandoned, and a huge exclusion zone was created around the reactor. Radiation contaminated large areas. But then something unexpected happened. Humans disappeared, and nature began taking the land back. Forests grew through abandoned buildings. Wildlife returned. Wolves, deer, wild horses, and countless other species now live in the exclusion zone. That doesn't mean radiation is harmless. It isn't. Radiation still creates serious risks, and contaminated areas remain. But Chernobyl reveals an extraordinary paradox. Remove humans from an environment, and nature can return surprisingly quickly.
Number 7. Socotra, Yemen. Some places don't look dangerous. They simply look unreal. Welcome to Socotra. This isolated island has been separated from mainland environments for millions of years, and that isolation allowed evolution to take a completely different path. One of its most famous plants is the dragon blood tree. Its umbrella-shaped crown looks like something from a science fiction movie. But this isn't just one strange tree. Socotra is home to many species found nowhere else on Earth. Millions of years of isolation turned the island into a natural evolutionary experiment, a place where nature essentially had the freedom to invent its own version of life. Number 8. Lake Baikal, Siberia. In Siberia lies one of the strangest bodies of water on Earth, Lake Baikal. It is the deepest lake on the planet and one of the oldest. During winter, its surface can freeze into enormous sheets of incredibly clear ice. Through the ice, you can sometimes see bubbles and cracks extending deep beneath the surface. But the real mystery lies underneath. Lake Baikal supports an extraordinary ecosystem, including the world's only freshwater seal species. The lake has been isolated for millions of years, and that isolation allowed life to evolve in ways found nowhere else. It's almost like an ocean, trapped inside a lake.
Number 9. Salar de Uyuni, Bolivia. Now, imagine standing somewhere so flat that the horizon almost disappears. This is Salar de Uyuni, the world's largest salt flat. During the dry season, it looks like an endless white desert. But when rain covers the surface with a thin layer of water, something extraordinary happens. The entire landscape turns into a gigantic mirror. The sky reflects beneath your feet. The horizon disappears, and suddenly, Earth looks like another planet. It's one of the strangest visual illusions nature has ever created. Number 10. Lake Natron, Tanzania. And finally, we arrive at a place that looks almost impossible to survive in. Lake Natron, Tanzania. The lake can become extremely alkaline. Its waters can also become dangerously hot. For many animals, this is an incredibly hostile environment. Yet thousands of flamingos come here to breed. Why? Because the same conditions that make the lake dangerous can make it difficult for predators to reach their nests. The lake can also preserve the remains of animals that die in or near its waters, creating eerie images of birds that appear almost turned to stone. But the lake doesn't literally turn living animals into stone. Instead, its highly alkaline, mineral-rich conditions can contribute to the preservation and calcification of remains. And that creates one of the strangest contradictions in nature. A place that looks deadly can become a sanctuary for life. Earth is far stranger than we imagine. And perhaps the most incredible thing isn't that life exists in these extreme places. It's that life keeps finding a way. If you enjoyed this journey through the strangest places on Earth, make sure you subscribe the channel and watch our other videos for more unbelievable facts about Earth, space, and the universe. Because reality is often stranger than fiction.